sections in the Doctrine and Covenants is that magnificent section 88. I believe the first part of section 88. Oh, absolutely. This is absolutely phenomenal. Starting with verse 6. He that ascended up on high, as also he descended below all things, he comprehended all things, he might be in and through all things, the light of truth, that he might be in all and through all things. Verse 6, the light of truth. And then it goes on, verse 7, which truth shineth. This is the light of Christ, as he is also in the sun, and the light of the sun, and the power thereof, by which it was made. See, again, we're talking about powers, light, truth, shining. All of this is in our hypocephalus. As he is also in the moon, and is the light of the moon, and the power thereof by which it was made, as also the light of the stars, and the power by which they were made, etc., and the earth also, and the power thereof, even the earth upon which you stand. And the light which shineth, which giveth you light, is through him who enlighteneth your eyes, which is the same light that quickeneth your understandings, which light proceedeth forth from the presence of God to fill the immensity of space. Verse 12. See the cosmological aspect of this. It is in, through, by everything. And it is through this power, this light, this truth, that things exist. It is in all things. Verse 13. Which giveth life to all things, which is the law by which all things are governed, even the power of God who sitteth upon his throne, who is in the bosom of eternity, who is in the midst of all things. Facsimile 2, figure 7. Men is sitting on his throne. He is in the bosom of eternity. He is in the hypocephalus, etc. I mean, this is hypocephalus imagery as far as that goes. But see, this can get rather mystical when you read it and try to actually appreciate what it's saying. It's startling. So the cosmology has come out quite powerfully in the LDS Scriptures, and we haven't known what to do with it. It's so blunt, it's so bold sometimes, that it's overwhelming, and so we kind of shuffle it off and spiritualize things. How do we know this is meant to be spiritual? This revelation was given December 27th, 1832. Well, now this idea, from the Egyptian angle, of Wainwright, that he uses his light weapon, or thunderbolt. It's described as a light weapon. He is identified with fertility, fecundity, life, light, power. I mean, this is section 88, you see. So this enhances our appreciation of the conclusion, the summary, as it were, of Joseph Smith's explanation of this figure. The grand keywords of the priesthood, revealed through the heavens by the messenger bird, which is a very important principle with which I'll get to. The fertility of the earth is dependent on the rains which the sun god sends. See, this is the Roman Sparsionis principle. The treasures from the heavens, as Nibley has elaborated on time and again, they are imitating the giver of abundance in the Sparsio, the Roman Sparsio, the feast, the festival, by throwing out all the good gifts to the people below. The emperor stands up on his pedestal, and he is the giver of life, the abundant lover of making sure everything is taken care of, so on and so forth. This is Wainwright. This is on page 152 that I've been reading from and just kind of elaborating on a little bit. Babylon, Enlil was the ancient lord of the storm. In due time, he became the lord of vegetation also. As you see now, this is the panel. This is what I was saying earlier. This is the entire panel across that part of the hypocephalus that involves figures 5, 6, and 7. The sun, the cow, the Hathor cow, of course, she is the giver of life. You have to have her. She's very important. Men is called bull of his mother. Well, what do the bull and the cow do? They procreate. Of course, absolutely. This symbolism is inherent in this. with the four sons of Horus, who represent the earth and its four quarters. And it does. There are many Egyptologists who have agreed to that. I know Stephen Thompson has disagreed with it in his research, but he's going against the grain. This obvious symbolism, the ancient world over, it's everywhere, including the Zohar in the medieval times, and then the three figures to the side of these four sons of Horus. Everything has to do with the principle of the fecundity, the fertility of the vegetation. Min was the garden god. He is the beekeeper. The bee, of course, keeps the process of life going. And this is the ancient world over in Babylonia. He is everywhere. The Semite storm god appears under the first dynasty of Babylon, 2200 BC. This is Adu, Adad, or Hadad. And he wields the lightning, and he rode upon the bull. It is the same theme in the ancient world. In the Hittite inscription, well, in turn, get this. He says, Hadad, Wainwright says on page 152, he says, Hadad, or Adad, became the dying vegetation god and the Lord of abundance. Oh, absolutely. This is the symbolic presentation of Min on his throne, which is, I would argue, the cube of space. I have not heard any commentators describe the throne as the cube of space. I will discuss the significance of this cube, especially as it relates to the Father and the Son, the principle of succession from father to son on the throne, but of course is had in all of the ancient countries and nations who ever had kingship, and the theme, the cosmological theme, as the implication of it being the cube of space. And what does that signify? Also, I would argue, ties in well with the grand key words of the priesthood. And I will show you that. Well, the Hittite hieroglyphs has the personal name of the god. The god brandishes the harp, bore a variant of it about 1200 BC, and he's the god with the axe, the double-headed axe, and the lightning flashes as late as about 850 BC. He's clearly a storm god, of course. He says this on page 153. And it's given to the pure fertility god of Ivriz, the symbols, the epithet of the storm god, as well as his weapons of power, the double axe, the lightning bolt, the light weapon, etc. In Baalbek in Syria, the local god had been the storm god Hadad. I was shown by many things. The Babel meteorite fell as a ball of fire in Mount Lebanon, announced that it belonged to the god of Baalbek. The god possessed the thunderbolt, and bowls were sacred to him. His Latin name was Jupiter, and I mentioned this tie-in with Jupiter, Zeus, and Zeus Heliopolis with the sun. Again, the cosmological angle, the sky god, the most powerful deity presented as Re, and remarkable enough, the Wedjat eye that is being presented to men in our Facsimile 2 figure 7, the eye itself is representative of the hypocephalus, which is understood and known to and described to be the pupil, the eye of Re. So the connections begin to coalesce in very interesting manners, remarkably so. Bowls, thunderbolts, light, power, priesthood. Joseph Smith called this priesthood. And we can, I will certainly jump into Joseph Smith's explanation of his interpretation of what priesthood is, and I'll explore priesthood from both the Greek and the Hebrew in the Old and the New Testaments. But of course,